You know, there is a peculiar and astonishing truth about the human mind that very few people ever pause long enough to discover. And it is this. Most of us go to bed still tangled in the memories of the day, dragging the mind behind us like an overpacked suitcase. We slip beneath the blankets, rehearsing our fears, our failures, our unfinished tasks, and then we wonder why tomorrow seems to be a repetition of yesterday, why life feels more like reruns than revelations. But the universe is quietly whispering something different. It is whispering that if you were to change the final note of the day, you would change the entire song of your life. Tonight, I want to show you something quite radical, yet beautifully simple. A practice so small, so delicate, so deceptively easy that most people overlook it. And yet, if you truly understood it, if you felt its nature in your bones, you would never stop doing it. In fact, you would never stop winning, because the universe is not responding to the loud declarations you make during the day. It is responding to the quiet instructions you give it at night. The moments before sleep are something like a sacred doorway, a thin veil between what you believe yourself to be and what you are capable of becoming. And when you walk through that doorway consciously, with intention, with awareness, you step into a world where manifestation ceases to be a struggle and becomes your very nature. So let us begin. Let me speak to you as if we are sitting beside a quiet river, the moon resting delicately on its surface, the world softened into twilight. For this is how truth prefers to arrive, not loudly, but gently. Not with force, but with presence. If you truly want to awaken the creative forces of the universe, if you want your desires to become as natural as breathing, then before you fall asleep, you must say this one thing. But before I tell you the phrase, I must guide you into understanding why it works. For without understanding, words remain empty. With understanding, they become spells, living currents of energy, directing the course of your destiny. You see, the mind is like a garden. What you plant at night grows in the morning, and most people unknowingly plant weeds. They feed their subconscious a tangled mess of worry, resentment, and unfinished business. They go to sleep in states of contraction, and so their lives naturally take the shape of contraction. The universe simply reflects the state they offer it. But consider this. The final thought before sleep is the first architect of your tomorrow. It is the blueprint your subconscious carries with it into the infinite. When the conscious mind lets go, the deeper mind, the mind that bends reality, takes over. And it takes your final emotional signature as its instruction. This is why ancient mystics knew that the last moment of the day is not a throwaway moment. It is the most potent, the most magical, the most transformative. And so tonight, I want you to reclaim that moment. Before bed, I want you to say one phrase. But more importantly, I want you to feel it, breathe it, allow it to move through you like warm water. The phrase is simple. I release today. I trust tomorrow. And I choose what I become now. You may think this is poetic but small. You may think it carries only a gentle beauty rather than world-changing power. But let me show you its true meaning, its true depth, its true capacity to unlock what you have been searching for. When you say, I release today, you are performing an extraordinary act. You are cutting the energetic cords of the day, the judgments, the stories, the disappointments, the identity you wore like a costume. You are allowing the mind to dissolve its grip on the persona it has carried for the last 16 hours. Most people drag their identity into sleep, and so they wake up as the same person. But release is the doorway to reinvention. Then, I trust tomorrow. Trust is the bridge between the known and the unknown. It is the state in which all manifestation takes root. Trust is not naive. It is courageous. It is the willingness to let life surprise you, to let the universe operate through pathways you could never have predicted. When you trust tomorrow, you stop trying to control everything with the small mind, and you begin to collaborate with the greater mind, the mind of the cosmos itself. And then the final line, and I choose what I become. This is where the magic blooms. This is where you stop living as a reaction to the world and begin shaping the world as an expression of your inner state. You are declaring to your subconscious, to the universe, and to the unseen forces shaping your reality that you are a being capable of conscious evolution, that your future is not determined by your past, that your identity is not fixed, but fluid, and that you, in your quiet awareness, hold the steering wheel of your destiny. Say this phrase for 1 minute, not rushed, not mechanical, but with presence, and something subtle begins to happen. You feel the tightness in your chest loosen. The loop of replaying conversations and worries begins to dissolve. The mind, instead of racing, begins to drift like a leaf on a tranquil stream. And in that dissolution of tension, you slip into a state where the universe can finally speak to you, reorganize your life around you, and bring you the opportunities you once thought you had to chase. But understand this, the phrase is not a trick. It is not a magic spell in the childish sense. It is an attunement, a harmonization. When you say it, you are shifting the frequency of your consciousness. You are aligning yourself with the creative flow of the cosmos. You are returning to the natural state from which all success arises, not effort, not striving, not desperation, but coherence. Imagine lying in bed, the lights dim, the world falling away. You breathe in and feel the body soften. You breathe out and something ancient inside you relaxes. And then, slowly, deliberately, you say the words, "I release today," and the body exhales a little more. The jaw unclenches. The shoulders settle. Suddenly the events of the day seem lighter, as though you are no longer the one carrying them. And then the second part, "I trust tomorrow." And when you say this, notice how your mind tries to object. It will want to insist that trust is dangerous, that control is safer, that worrying is responsible. The mind is like a loyal, frightened guard dog. It believes fear protects you. But when you say these words repeatedly, something deeper than the mind begins to take the lead. The heart begins to guide you, and the heart speaks the language of trust. And then the final line, "I choose what I become." This is where the soul nods. This is where the universe steps closer, because you are acknowledging the truth that life is not happening to you. You are happening to life. You are the sculptor, not the sculpture. Say it for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and it begins to rewire the entire architecture of your consciousness. It dissolves the old programs, the old patterns, the habitual emotional reactions that keep recreating the same experiences over and over again. You see, winning, true winning, is not a matter of competition. It is a matter of alignment. When you feel aligned with the flow of existence, opportunities come to you effortlessly. Synchronicities increase. Clarity arises. Things that once felt like struggles begin to resolve themselves. Conversations shift. People respond to you differently. Life becomes less like a battlefield and more like a dance. This 1-minute practice before sleep puts you back into that state of harmony. It is a return to your natural intelligence. But now let me take you deeper, for there is another layer to this. The universe does not simply respond to your words. It responds to the state your words create. When you release today, trust tomorrow, and choose what you become, you are activating what I like to call the silent mechanism of creation, the place where your subconscious and the fabric of reality converse without the interruption of your thinking mind. During sleep, your subconscious mind is extraordinarily active. It digests emotions, it reorganizes memories, it repairs the body, but it also takes whatever emotional tone you fall asleep with and uses it as the compass for your future. If you fall asleep in fear, your subconscious looks for more reasons to fear. If you fall asleep in shame, it reinforces the identity of someone who should hide. If you fall asleep in gratitude, in trust, in openness, then life rearranges itself to match that openness. The phrase I've given you places you into a state of surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of wisdom. The surrender that says, I do not need to grip the world to be safe. I do not need to control the universe to be successful. I simply need to align myself with its flow. And when you do this consciously, you unlock something most people never experience. The feeling of being supported by existence itself. You stop swimming upstream. You stop fighting the current. You allow yourself to float. And in floating, you are carried exactly where you need to go. But the secret, the beautiful secret is that the universe will not show you its support until you are relaxed enough to receive it. Stress blocks guidance. Fear blocks intuition. Overthinking blocks possibility. This is why the final minute before sleep is the greatest opportunity of your day. In that minute, the mind becomes soft. The boundaries between conscious and subconscious begin to blur. You are neither fully awake nor fully dreaming. You are suspended in a state the mystics call the in-between, and it is in this in-between that your intentions become most powerful. Say the phrase "in this state," and your subconscious accepts it as truth. It becomes the new foundation upon which tomorrow is built. But there is one more thing I must tell you before we continue. And it is perhaps the most important part. The universe is not keeping opportunities from you. It is waiting for you to become the person who can receive them. And you cannot become that person if you go to sleep carrying the emotional weight of your past. Tonight, when you lie down, I want you to imagine you are stepping out of a costume. The costume of who you were today, the conversations you had, the roles you played, the expectations placed upon you. And as you take a breath, I want you to let it all fall away. For you are not meant to become a slightly improved version of who you were today. You are meant to become someone new, someone lighter, someone clearer, someone capable of welcoming the kind of life you have always sensed was possible. This practice is not about manifesting material things, though those may come. It is about manifesting a new self, and from that new self arises a new world. And perhaps the most enchanting thing of all is this. When you finally stop holding on to the heaviness of the day, when you stop dragging your own history into the sacred space of your becoming, the universe has room to place something new inside your hands. But it will not force anything upon you. It simply waits patiently, lovingly for the moment you decide to create space. Space in your thoughts, space in your emotions, space in your expectations, and above all, space in your identity. This 1-minute ritual, this brief whisper before bed, is the creation of that space. When you say, "I release today," you create a clearing. When you say, "I trust tomorrow," you invite possibility. When you say, "I choose what I become," you claim authorship of your life. And these three currents, release, trust, choice, swirl together into a kind of inner alchemy, a transformation that doesn't shout, but sings. Not with the noise of willpower, but with the quiet majesty of alignment. Now let me tell you a secret that very few people ever learn. Your future self is already trying to reach you. Yes, the wiser version of you, the clearer version of you, the version of you who has already achieved what you now desire, that self exists in potential, vibrating in the realm of the possible. And every night before sleep, the veil between you and that future self grows thinner. If you quiet yourself enough, if you open yourself enough, you can feel the gentle pull of that future, like a tide drawing you forward. This is why release is essential. If your arms are full of old stories, you cannot receive the guidance of the new. If your mind is tangled in the echoes of today, it cannot hear the subtle voice of tomorrow. When you release, you do not abandon your life, you simply loosen your grip on what no longer serves the journey ahead. You may think, "But what if I haven't accomplished enough today? What if I made mistakes?" That is precisely why release is the gateway. A mistake does not define you. A moment of weakness does not diminish you. In fact, if you bring your mistakes into sleep, you freeze them in place. But if you release them, truly release them, they become compost for your evolution. They become the soil in which wisdom grows. And after release comes trust. This trust is not blind faith or naive optimism. It is an understanding, a recognition that life often knows how to unfold far better than our anxious minds would prefer. When you trust tomorrow, you are not predicting that everything will go perfectly. You are acknowledging that whatever comes will serve your becoming. You see, when you operate from fear, the world appears tight, narrow, and threatening. When you operate from trust, the world becomes spacious, curious, cooperative. Your perception shifts, and with that shift, your reality rearranges itself. Even your body responds, the breath deepens, the muscles soften, the nervous system moves from contraction to openness. Trust changes the chemistry of your being. And then, choice, the quiet yet powerful declaration. I choose what I become. This is the moment you reclaim the inner throne of your life. No longer shaped solely by circumstance, you become the sculptor of your destiny. Not through force, but through intention, through the subtle art of aligning your inner world with the outer one you wish to experience. Consider this. You are not the person you were 5 years ago. You are not even the person you were 5 months, 5 weeks, or 5 minutes ago. You are constantly in motion, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. The question is not whether you will transform. The question is whether you will transform consciously. Choice introduces consciousness into your evolution. When you enter sleep holding a sense of choice, you begin to dream differently. You metabolize your past differently. You wake up not as a continuation of who you have been, but as an iteration and eventually a revolution of your former self. This is how true winners operate. Not with frantic effort, not with grinding or forcing, but by learning to work with the subtle laws of the universe, the laws that govern the mind beneath thought, the heart beneath emotion, the reality beneath appearances. Winning is not something you chase. It is something you align with. And alignment begins in the quietest moments of your life, especially the final minute before sleep. So tonight, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you are floating on your back in a warm, calm sea. The stars above you shimmer like tiny doorways into the infinite. The water holds you effortlessly, without judgment, without demand. You do not need to swim. You do not need to strive. You are supported simply because you exist. This is what trust feels like. And now, imagine the events of your day, the moments of tension, the conversations that linger, the roles you played floating around you on little paper boats. One by one, you let these boats drift away, not with bitterness, not with regret, simply with the understanding that they have served their purpose. This is what release feels like. Finally, imagine a soft light glowing within your chest. Not a light that blinds, not a light that burns, but a warm, steady radiance. It is the light of your becoming. And as you breathe, it brightens. You feel yourself expanding into possibilities that once felt too distant, too large, too extravagant for someone like you. This is what choice feels like. Say the phrase as you drift into this inner sea. Say it slowly, as if each syllable is dissolving a barrier within you. I release today. I trust tomorrow. And I choose what I become. And as you repeat it, notice how the mind stops clinging. Notice how the body stops resisting. Notice how something ancient inside you, some intuitive, wise, eternal part begins to smile. Because it recognizes the truth. You were never meant to carry the weight of your entire life on your shoulders. You were meant to move with life, not against it. To collaborate with the universe, not wrestle it into submission. Victory, true victory, is not domination. It is integration. Now, let me take you one step further. Once this nightly practice becomes natural, something extraordinary begins to happen. The universe starts responding faster. What once took months begins to take weeks. What took weeks begins to take days. Doors you didn't even know existed begin to open. People arrive in your life at precisely the right moment. Ideas emerge seemingly from nowhere. Synchronicities multiply. This is not coincidence. This is coherence. When your subconscious, your emotions, and your intentions are aligned, reality bends. Opportunities that once hid in the shadows step into the light. Obstacles that once seemed immovable begin to dissolve. Even time itself seems to cooperate with you. You begin to live in a state I call effortless unfolding. But, and this is important, none of this happens if you fall asleep, carrying the weight of your day. It is the release that creates the opening. It is the trust that calls in the support. It is the choice that shapes the outcome. And so, for 1 minute, just 1 minute, you give the universe permission to work with you, not against the noise of your overthinking mind. Winning becomes natural. Not because you are lucky, not because you are special in any comparative sense, but because you are finally aligned with the deeper intelligence of existence. And if you stay with this practice, truly stay with it, you will begin to notice a transformation that is quiet at first, then unmistakable. You will wake with a lighter heart. You will move through the day with a sense of grounded presence. You will respond to challenges with creativity rather than fear. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, you will begin to attract circumstances that reflect your inner alignment. Because life is not giving you what you want. Life is giving you what you are. And when you go to bed each night choosing what you become,